Gilbo here with Justin Elick, taking a look at some GPP bats for tonight's slate. A pretty good pitching slate. So, I mean, there's kind of limited options as far as bats go. And, I mean, there's probably, two games that really stand out, maybe three for offense.
Yeah, I mean, you got, Scherzer, DeGrom, Archer.
Tanaka.
Tanaka. Paxton even, depending on, how
Martinez.
much he actually sees. Martinez isn't that good, but he's been pretty good.
Here we go. It's 10 seconds into the pod, and
what do you expect? I mean, let's be honest. Anyone with extreme splits against one side or the other is not close to an elite arm, period.
Come on. He's figured things out.
He gives up at least one homer to a lefty tonight, guaranteed.
Oh, geez, that's a real bold call against the Dodgers lineup who has 7 lefties.
Exactly. It's this in the Mets. You just don't play Martinez against a team that's heavy lefties. You just don't.
Right.
I don't. I mean, I think he's a good contrarian move tonight, but we're not talking about pitchers.
I'm not talking about using him. I'm just saying he's good enough to just say I'm not jumping all in on the Dodgers. 307 WOBA to lefties. That's not bad.
Yeah, this year in 40 innings.
Yeah.
We'll see. Give me a big sample size and then we'll talk. But on this slate, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to consider him.
We share a birthday. We were actually born on the same exact day and year. So
yeah, you know who I share a birthday with?
I don't care.
Miguel Cabrera. So beat that.
Well, look at our lives and how we turned out.
yeah, that hasn't really done a whole lot for me. So thanks a lot, Miggy. Whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah, looking at catcher. Not a spot where I'm probably going to be paying up. I think if I am, and this isn't even really a big pay up option, but Salvador Perez against Boyd, I don't mind using. Not terrific ballpark, but Boyd's just not a good lefty. Perez is hitting the ball well this year, has that upside.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, catcher's pretty thin. Really, the only other guys that I've got on my list, you've got, if you're going to try to hope that Tanaka's going back to giving up a ton of home runs, which he gave up 7 over a span of 2 starts not too long ago. Wellington Castillo's had some big upside recently, so I don't mind throwing him in there. Alex Avila, if you want to play the BVP game, has been pretty good against Ian Kennedy. He's been pretty good anyway this year. He's got, 60% hard contact over the last couple of weeks. Obviously doesn't play every day, but I don't think it's a bad spot for him there either.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. And I mean, Avila's cheap. I mean, DraftKings and FanDuel, it's completely different at catcher just because of how cheap those guys are. Salvador Perez, 2.9. What the hell happened? Yeah,
I mean, you definitely consider him. And then a guy who's in a great spot but has been horrible recently, Matt Wieters. It's only 2,400 on FanDuel. Matt Cain's got a 7% strikeout rate over the last 14 games, 3% swing strike. I mean, literally anyone is going to make contact. So it's just obviously the ballpark is big time negative, but I mean, you're going to make contact. So I think that the Nationals are going to put up a big number tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. I think that's for the most part all I'm looking at. I mean, catcher's pretty weak. I think those are the guys I'll keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of always just consider Gary Sanchez. Gausman obviously has been pretty horrible this year. Sanchez, though, hasn't really had a lot of power upside over the past, week and a half. So maybe his ownership's a little bit lower tonight, especially with the big pitchers on the mound. So I don't mind him either.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind. I mean, I'll definitely be attacking against Gausman. First base, I mean, if you want to talk about BVP, I mean, Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah. I mean, man, he's been driving me nuts recently. Remember, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, he had those ridiculous day-night splits where he was just batting like 450 during the day. And, I mean, I would just lock him in during the day. No matter what happened, he would just go off. And, I mean, he's out here pulling a Joey Votto because he's walking a ton, but he's not really – I mean, when's the last homer he hit? The 20th. And before that, the 2nd. I mean, he's got 2 home runs in the whole month of May. So, I mean – he's a guy that he's going to be crazy low owned, I think, for such a good matchup. So I'd like it because I still think that, I don't think he's any less of a hitter than he ever was. I think he's just doing the whole my team needs me to get on base thing. But as slow as he is, do they really need that?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at him yesterday, and it was, BABIP is extremely low for his career norm against right-handed pitching, still hitting the ball hard. Strikeout rate up a little bit more, but as you said, he's walking quite a bit. I like the Tigers' offense in that one. I feel like they're just all extremely cheap on DraftKings. So, I mean, I think that's kind of a big difference for me. But as far as other first basemen go, I mean, Mitch Moreland, red hot against Mike Pelfrey. I mean, I'll continue to look at him. Hit another homer last night. He had that down stretch where he faced a couple of lefties, but for the most part, I mean, he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, he's been that guy who's, I don't know if he still is, but he was leading at least the AL in doubles. I mean, he's just been mashing the ball. And another guy that's just crazy cheap, and I know it's still negative ballpark, but Ryan Zimmerman is still out here quietly batting 371, and nobody's playing him anymore because he's not hitting a home run every night. But I mean, I'm going to play as much as I can against Matt Cain because, like I said, any pitcher who just simply cannot miss bats anymore, especially against this lineup, is just in for a world of trouble tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you want to play the narrative, Albert Pujols needs one more home run to 600, and he's got a couple homers in his last few games. And Garcia is obviously not an arm that you're shying away from.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I mean, he's been pretty good. Another guy who's a super streaky hitter who's been starting to hit recently, for power at least, Lucas Duda.
Yeah.
He's got 4 homers in his last 6 games. Junior Guerra. I mean, I'm still not necessarily a believer in his. I mean, he was good for, 2 months last year. He's, 31, 32 years old. It's not like this guy's all of a sudden a stud. So I like Duda. And then, I mean, if you're going cheap, I think Matt Adams is the easy play against Chavez, who has just given up a ton of homers. I think 5 in his last 2 games, at least 1 homer in all but 1 start. I mean, Adams is in a pretty good spot there.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that. This is one of the nights where I don't mind going with those cheap guys in the late games, even with the downside of the ballparks, just because the price tags are so nice. Jose Abreu, I'll take a look at against Pomeranz. Abreu's been hitting the ball well, hitting lefties really well, which it was always kind of a little bit reversed, but Abreu's kind of figured things out. 223 ISO this month alone. I mean, starting to struggle a little bit. I think he's 3 for his last 15 or something like that, but look who he's faced.
Still has the most hits in baseball over the last 14 games or 14 days.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely don't mind him.
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that.
So, anyone else at first base?
No, I mean, we got plenty of options. No need to force anybody else.
Looking at second base, you and I both noticed that Daniel Murphy's price is down a little bit. I know he was out for a couple of games, sickness, and obviously AT&T Park is going to drop pricing down. But this is a really good spot against Matt Cain, who's been, awful.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to find it really hard not to just lock him into most of my lineups at that price. And second base, I think, easily the worst position on the board tonight. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think the only guy I'll consider using elsewhere, and the problem is it's like they're all so close to the Daniel Murphy on FanDuel at least that I just don't want to do it. But Whit Merrifield, if he's in the lineup again for the Royals, I'll consider. They need to get Alcides Escobar out of the leadoff spot. This is just the absolute worst move.
He needs to be back to 8 or 9 where he was and where he belongs.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not at least stealing bases, I mean, what's the point? He's doing nothing. He's one of those guys that, a couple years back, you see him leading off, batting 2,300 on FanDuel. You just lock him into your cash games and spend your money elsewhere. But, I mean, he's one of the worst hitters on the planet right now.
Yeah. And you look at Matt Boyd, 389 WOBA to righties this year, 43% hard contact rate allowed. I usually don't target a lot of Royals, but I like the righties.
Yeah, and I mean, they're starting to pick it up a little bit too. So another guy who's starting to pick it up, and I feel even sick thinking about it. It's not a particularly good matchup, but Chase Utley is on fire right now. He's mashing. He's got 7 hits in his last 3 games, 3 homers in his last 5. I don't know what's going on with Chase Utley. I think he's 42 years old now or something.
Yeah, turning back the clock.
Yeah, and it's not like, I mean, he had a decent amount of upside back in his Phillies days, but if there's a spot, a super contrarian guy, you want to go with the hot bat if you're a believer in hot streaks, and you should be because they're real. I mean, that is the only split you're going to play against Martinez.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't mind that. As far as other guys go, I mean, you can take a look at Andrew Romine, who's leading off. If you want to punt, plays only 3,200 on DK.
Yeah, I can see that. Neil Walker, similarly priced to Murphy. He does have some upside every once in a while. Like I said, I'm not really much of a believer in Guerra, but for the most part for me, I mean, it's just Murphy and move on unless you're playing a stack.
Yeah, I think so. Third base, so an interesting spot tonight. I mean, You definitely have some options, but I feel like some of these guys are a bit overpriced. Like Longoria, he's fine on FanDuel, but 5,100 on DK. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that about? I saw that and I saw that price tag and not the last person, but there was no part of me that thought, you know what? I bet that is Evan Longoria. So, I mean, the only reason to play that is contrarian move, but really with all these big pitchers on the mound, I mean, you're not playing him. Why would
Yeah, I don't think I can. Like if I'm paying down on the hill for a couple of guys to like fit in expensive bats, maybe, but it's way too expensive for me on DK. FanDuel is certainly in play.
I'm not sure I'd pay 5,100 for him at Coors right now.
No, I mean he's been hot and he's a super streaky hitter, but this is just too much for me.
Yeah, that's a definite no thanks for me.
I mean, Rays in general are just priced up on DK. Steven Souza, 5K. Were they playing on the moon?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand it, and I just can't. So I don't get it.
So, but as far as third base, Pablo Sandoval's back. Don't use him. I'm just saying that he's back.
Yeah, just so you know, he's back, but don't.
I don't like third base tonight. Actually, this is a position I usually don't mind, but I can't really get on board. I mean, maybe I'll take a look at Kyle Seager. Obviously, he had a big game last night, which is kind of unexpected, but he's cheap. Sensatella is a guy who doesn't miss a ton of bats, and Seager's oddly enough he's been way better at home in terms of power numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but yeah, after I go over here and talk trash about second base, I mean, yeah, third base for once. I mean, usually you got 8 to 10 options on this size slate that you like, but especially on DraftKings, it's pretty tough. If you want to play Longoria, 3,300 on FanDuel, I get that, but I don't know. It's not pretty out there today for third base.
No. I mean, Jed Jerko, he's questionable for tonight's game. He would be a guy I'd use against Ryu, but he might not even be in the lineup.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one, which is a guy that I wish I could play, but I just don't think I can. And the lefty-lefty split is Mike Moustakas. He's got a ton of – he still has a 217 ISO against lefties, but a 254 WOBA. So, I mean, you're literally hoping that if he makes contact, it leaves the park. And, I mean, I'm just not a believer in that. But if you want the super contrarian option that's maybe could go 1 for 5 with a homer, that's not bad. I mean, Rendon's not awfully priced either. So, I mean, you could obviously play Rendon. He's been lights out recently.
I don't hate the Moustakas call, especially if Boyd gets knocked out early. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I don't think Boyd's going to go more than 5 innings.
No. I mean not many guys have that home run side.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I mean, you might be getting Moustakas even to at-bats against a bullpen that's been pretty bad this year.
True.
So one thing to consider. But outside of that, I mean, I don't think I'm really looking at guys. I mean, could you play Arenado in a contrarian way tonight?
I mean, he's always in play for me if you got the money for him. I mean, he's still one of the best hitters on the planet. He kills lefties, as we know. I mean, I love James Paxton though, so I don't.
Yeah, he's good.
And it's a tough ballpark. I definitely think there's some merit to playing him, especially maybe they take it easy on Paxton. He only throws 80 pitches or so. I haven't seen anything on that. Maybe that is the case. So I mean, he's going to see the bullpen at some point. So definitely you can consider him contrarian option. He's cheaper than freaking Evan Longoria.
Yeah, I think you can consider him. I think Manny Machado is also a guy I'll consider for GPPs just because he's 4K.
Yeah, and I mean Tanaka still I know the numbers are a little skewed from those 2 really bad games, but he's given up over a 400 WOBA to righties.
Yeah, that's true. So, shortstop. Corey Seager stands out to me as an option to use against Martinez. Corey Seager is just a guy I'll continue to lock in at whatever price he's at, just because the huge upside game is coming.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, he got his day off yesterday after he played, 12 straight. So, I mean, I'm surprised you're not locking in your boy Devin Marrero there.
Jesus.
2 dingers last night?
No, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, he's actually not been horrible. So I don't think he's completely out of play. 2,200 on FanDuel, if you're paying up for a pitcher. Because, I mean, what are you missing at the top at shortstop tonight?
Nothing to me. I mean,
there's no obvious plays. I mean, obviously Bogart's great spot, and Trey Turner, good spot, but he hasn't been awesome. Like you said, Seager, of course. Seager is always in play. But, I mean, I don't think there's any just lock and load option up top. And you're probably not going to be able to pay up at more than 2 spots if you're paying up for pitching tonight.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
if you're going cheap, he's the only option, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I like Tim Anderson against lefties. I mean, he's 2,700 if he's contrarian way. I don't hate the Marrero play for just a punt relief. He's not good. But
no, and I mean, he'll probably see more ownership than he should because he's cheap, et cetera, et cetera.
Recency bias.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Beckham's not a bad option. Ray's got a pretty nice team total. He makes a lot of hard contacts. So, I mean, he's a guy you don't love to play. But, I mean, if you want a middle option, he's really the only guy that even looks remotely interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I mean, I don't mind a Gregorius if he's in the lineup. I know he's a little bit banged up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, shortstop overall, I think if you are paying up, I think it's for Seager.
Yeah, I agree.
Or Bogarts. Bogarts is just too expensive though, and there's never really a ton of home run upside.
Yeah, that's what gets me with him. I don't
know.
Mookie Betts has homer upside though.
Yeah, but he doesn't play shortstop.
He could. He could probably play shortstop and the outfield. All three outfield.
Well, he played second base.
I mean, he's Mike Trout now that Mike Trout's hurt, right? He's now the best healthy hitter on the planet.
No. He's not the best healthy hitter on the planet.
And who is? Like right now, health-wise, who's the best hitter? It's Mookie. With that hat on, you're going to argue with me? Seriously?
Overall at this point of the season, are you talking just
right now, today? You could have one hitter, not in this matchup necessarily, but on your team right now until Trout gets back. Assume they stay healthy. What one hitter do you want? We're talking a month and a half, 2 months. Although Trout's a robot, so he's probably back in like an hour.
I don't know, dude. Michael Conforto's been really good.
Over Mookie?
I'm just talking just solely on what this season has gone so far.
All right. Well, I will violently disagree with you over this internet call, but it's Mookie easily. I mean, I'll take Votto over Conforto 100 times out of 100 too.
Dude, I'm just saying over like the last span of games, like Conforto's been on par with a lot of guys.
He's also been on par with, some pretty horrible guys in some stretches throughout his young career too.
All right. Well, let's go.
I'll see it for a full few before I'll talk about him being great. I'm not saying he's bad. Don't get me wrong. He's not the greatest. I'm trying to give you some Red Sox love.
I'm not saying he's the greatest. I'm just saying.
I mean, you said you'd rather have him than Mookie. You're getting your fandom revoked. We'll move on.
Tonight, I would take Mookie over Conforto.
I might take Mookie over anybody tonight.
I like Mookie. He's the best hitter on the planet right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that.
I like Mookie here. I mean, I think the Sox are in play. Pelfrey hasn't had the blow up yet, but it's definitely going to be there. I mean, he just doesn't miss a lot of bats. The BABIP is super low compared to years past. So I think the big blow up game's coming. I like Benintendi as well. I don't even hate Jackie Bradley Jr. if he's hitting sixth.
No, I just feel like he's going to – the thing gets me is it's a great matchup, and his ownership will probably be way higher than it should be because of those 2 homers last night. But that's not to say don't fade. Yeah, he could be. But, I mean, okay, so the Harper thing, that suspension probably won't start for a couple of days, right, because he appealed. So he's almost certainly still going to play tonight, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see because I haven't heard anything today. I assume that it's probably going to take a couple of days. But, and I mean, let's not even talk about what an idiot he looks like in that fight.
Yeah, we don't need to dive in.
He embarrassed himself. It was hilarious. Anyway, Michael Conforto, a.k.a. Mike Trout, he's in a pretty good spot here too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like Conforto. I think he's a little bit pricey, but deservingly so because he's been really solid this year.
Except for the last 6 games.
Yeah.
I mean, his ownership's going to be low. I'm just being devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
His ownership will be much lower than it should be in this matchup. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could easily go to Jay Bruce, too, if you need to save a couple hundred.
Yeah, I like that. I like around that same price. JD Martinez, I love against Ian Kennedy, who gives up a ton of home runs. And Martinez, obviously, he's not a guy you play, not a cash game player or anything like that. He's not a guy with a great floor. But, I mean, his power is maybe second to none on this slate tonight.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, I don't know what to do with these raised bats on DraftKings.
Yeah.
They're in such a good spot. And like Steven Souza's been crushing the ball, but 5K, Dickerson's crushing the ball, but 5K. But they've been so good. I mean, I think if the only way I play them is like if I'm just stacking them. I don't know if I can just one-off pay for those guys.
No, that's tough to do that. I'm not a big fan of that either. I mean, I like the Atlanta bats.
Yeah, Matt Kemp.
NCRT is a decent cash game guy. Not much upside, of course, but Kemp, I mean, I still love Matt Kemp. He doesn't get any love this season, but speaking of guys who are just kind of flying under the radar, I mean, he's having a tremendous year, and nobody talks about him.
And Jesse Chavez, 369 WOBA to righties, 9 home runs allowed.
Chavez, I mean, for my money, easily the worst pitcher on the slate, worse than Matt Cain.
Yeah.
Because Cain at least has the potential, maybe not in this matchup, but in some matchups, to give you 6, 7 quality innings. Chavez just doesn't. He's just bad. Yeah,
I wish the Braves had a little bit more upside from at least one of their other outfielders to stack, but I definitely don't mind Matt Kemp and Matt Adams there tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, another guy, Jason Worth, is still crazy cheap. I know he's historically been better against lefties, but 3,100 on FanDuel is a really good price for him in that matchup.
Yeah. What do you think of Lorenzo Cain?
Oh, man, I want to like him so much.
Yeah, the upside's just completely gone, though.
Yeah, I mean, you remember a couple of years ago, he was one of those guys against the lefty that, I mean, wasn't quite state level or anything like that, but he was a guy, around this same price. You know, he's 3,400 maybe. You just play him. He was always 5% owned, but I don't know. I'm not even going to say the breakout game coming because I don't know that it exists anymore.
No, I don't think so either. I can get behind some of the White Sox bats for a contrarian way, like Garcia, well, both Garcias and Melky Cabrera, because Pomeranz just really is that guy where he may have pitch 4 innings tonight, like, and still allow 3-4 earned runs and like strike out 8, like you said. Like, it's just he has those starts, and then you're getting a pen. The long relievers are not good. I'm kind of surprised that the run total is actually just only a little under 4.5.
Yeah, because he just can't pitch deep into games. He just can't do it. I mean, I think he's gone 6 innings once this year. So, I mean, the strikeout upside is immense for sure. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan. But while we're talking about Royals, though, Jorge Bonifacio, nobody still plays this guy, and he just destroys the ball. And it's not fluky. I mean, the guy had a ton of power in AAA, AA, all the minors. So, I mean, 2,800 FanDuel, still not a bad price at all for him. His DraftKings price is what, 36?
Yeah.
And he's got big upside here. No double dinger games yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of those is coming soon.
Yeah, 241 ISO this month. I definitely don't mind him. And as you said, I mean, he always just goes lower on than what he should. Because outside of that, I mean, as far as cheap guys, I think, we talked about a lot of the kind of pay down options in the infield. So, I mean, outfield might be the way to just kind of pay the mid range or pay up a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As far as really cheap guys, I mean, you're going to kind of just wait and see what happens with the lineups before, because you might get some guys in some decent. I mean, Ben Revere might just have to be in the lineup. He's super cheap. He's not that good, but if he bats leadoff, you could consider him in your cash games, I guess. Tyler Collins, another one of those guys that sometimes bats near the top, but you don't get excited about those guys. I mean, those are the guys that you kind of force into your lineup if you've got no other options, I suppose. But
Kevin Kiermaier, 2.9 on FanDuel. I mean, that's going to be a play I'll use a ton of, and even 4.3 on DK is not bad.
Yeah. I love Kevin Kiermaier. I wish you could get defensive points. If you got points for defense, then he'd be a lock and load play every day.
I know. What do you think about the Yankees outfielders? I mean, a bit overpriced, but against Gossman, I mean, they're not out of play.
Yeah, I don't think I'll play Gardner. You know how it is, recency bias. I mean, a guy like that doesn't really have that much homer upside, I don't really like to play after he hits 2. But, I mean, Judge for sure. I mean, he's mashing again. He's got just stupid numbers on the season, and he's still, for some reason, Bryce Harper is still significantly more expensive. I don't really know why, because for my money, Judge has been better.
Yeah, and it likes it. Look at the top play. I mean, Betts, Judge, Harper, if he's in, Conforto. I mean, I think Judge is going to come in a little bit lower on it because I think a lot of people will use Mookie.
Yeah,
if they are paying up.
If you're getting one pay up outfielder, I think it's Mookie. I think for me, number 2 is probably going to be JD.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there. So
tournaments only, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, as always, I mean, there might be a couple outfielders that slip up into the top half of the lineup and you can get a decent value.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's wrap things up here. You can head over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our great tools and content.